What happens when you help your family, and they still betray you? At 30 years old, Alex had always been the reliable one in the family, the person everyone could count on. Life had been steady, or at least, that's what Alex had thought. They had a solid job, a healthy routine, and a future they were excited about. But everything changed in the blink of an eye. One moment, Alex was planning the next vacation, working on a promotion at the office, and then the next, they found themselves in a hospital bed, grappling with a medical emergency. The doctors were clear, urgent treatment was needed, but without insurance, the bills quickly piled up. Alex was overwhelmed, not just by the physical pain, but by the financial burden that seemed impossible to escape. It wasn't just the bills, either. It was the overwhelming fear that they might not make it through without help. That's when Alex turned to family. Their uncle had always run a successful business, their cousin flaunted her multiple investment properties, and their parents were comfortably settled into retirement, with no financial worries in sight. Alex never liked asking for help, but this wasn't just a small problem. It was a matter of survival. So, swallowing their pride, they reached out. Alex didn't want charity, just a loan, a lifeline to help cover medical expenses until they could get back on their feet. They even offered to sign an agreement and pay interest. But the response from family was shocking. Over and over, they heard the same thing. "We have our own lives to deal with." Their uncle, cousin, and parents, all living their luxurious lifestyles, made excuses. They couldn't help, and they certainly didn't want to get involved. Alex sat in disbelief, staring at the phone, as the rejection hit harder than the physical pain. They couldn't understand it. The same people who posted lavish vacations, shopping sprees, and new cars on social media were now telling Alex they couldn't afford to help. The betrayal stung deeply. Alex had always put family first, but in that moment, they realized their family had no intention of returning the favor. Alex fought to survive, taking on extra work when possible and negotiating with the hospital, doing everything they could to make it through. But the bitterness that grew in them wasn't something they could shake easily. It would shape their next steps, whether they liked it or not. 2 years passed, and Alex had rebuilt their life. The financial burden, the isolation from family, everything had been a distant memory. It wasn't easy. There were nights of exhaustion, long hours working side gigs, and days when Alex wasn't sure how they would keep going. But piece by piece, Alex put their life back together. They dove deep into learning new skills, working remotely, and building a stable financial foundation. And every step of the way, the anger that had been brewing, anger at their family for abandoning them, fueled them. It was that anger that pushed Alex to succeed, to prove that they didn't need anyone's help, especially not from those who had turned their backs when they needed it most. The day Alex received a message from their cousin, Julia, felt like the universe was playing a cruel joke. Julia had been one of the first to turn their back on Alex when everything fell apart. She had sent a brief, dismissive message all those months ago, offering no help and no understanding. Now, out of nowhere, she was reaching out, asking for a favor. Alex stared at the message, feeling a bitter laugh bubbling up. Was this a joke? After everything, after being ignored, dismissed, and humiliated, now Julia wanted something? Alex didn't respond immediately. Instead, they let the message sit, wondering just how far Julia's desperation had taken her. A few moments later, curiosity got the best of Alex. They searched Julia's social media and found the answer. Julia had made poor investments, buying properties she couldn't afford, and now, with the market downturn, she was drowning in debt. It was like the universe was giving Alex a front row seat to the karma they had been waiting for. But that wasn't enough. It wasn't just Julia that Alex was looking at. Their uncle, the one who had scolded Alex for asking for help years ago, was in financial ruin too. Filed for bankruptcy. His empire had crumbled. The same uncle who had lectured Alex about standing on their own 2 feet was now calling, asking for help. Alex let the phone ring. Let them sweat it out. When they finally answered, the words came as a calm response, but the anger was thick in the air. How could they ask me for help now? After everything? Alex thought. They had climbed out of their hole alone. And now, they were going to watch as their family struggled, just as they had once struggled. The calls started coming in, one after the other, and Alex could feel the weight of it all pressing down on them. First, it was Julia, the cousin who had ignored them when things got rough. Now, Julia was texting frantically, asking for help. The messages were desperate, pleading, an entire shift from the indifferent tone she had used before. It wasn't just her. Then came the text from Alex's uncle, the man who had once preached to Alex about standing on their own 2 feet, who had mocked their struggle when they were at their lowest. The message was simple. We need you, we've hit a rough patch, and you're the only one who can help. Alex's heart sank with a mix of frustration and satisfaction. This was it. The moment they had been waiting for. They had worked relentlessly to get to where they were now, financially stable, successful, and finally free from the suffocating grip of their so-called family. And now, when everything had shifted, when Alex was finally in control, they were supposed to come rushing back to offer help. The same people who had walked away when Alex was drowning? But Alex wasn't about to just throw away their hard-earned progress. They'd been through enough. They'd climbed out of the pit alone, and they weren't going to let their family take advantage of them again. No, Alex thought. They wouldn't give in this time. Their fingers hovered over the phone as they stared at the messages, letting them simmer with the reality of what was happening. Was it really just money they wanted? Or was it something else? Respect? A sense of entitlement? Either way, Alex had a decision to make. After hours of reflection, Alex finally responded to the message from Julia. They didn't give her an ounce of sympathy. I'm not the person you can lean on anymore, Alex typed, the words almost too satisfying to write. And when the call from their uncle came, Alex didn't hesitate. Sorry, I'm not going to be your safety net anymore, they said with a calm but firm voice, keeping their emotions in check. The power had shifted. It was now in their hands, and Alex wasn't about to let their family back into their life unless they earned it. The consequences of this decision were far from clear, but one thing was certain, Alex would never be the same person they once were. As the days passed, the messages from Alex's family didn't stop. It was relentless. First, it was a text from their mother, a message wrapped in sweetness, as if nothing had happened. How are you doing, sweetheart? We're so proud of you. We saw your photos. It felt like a slap in the face. Alex stared at the screen, feeling the anger simmer beneath the surface. How could she be so casual, so fake after everything? They had ignored Alex's cries for help when they were at their lowest, and now they were acting as though nothing had changed. Alex knew better than to get caught in this web of guilt. Their fingers hovered over the reply button, torn between giving into the temptation of revenge or standing firm. But then came the final message that would change everything. We're in a bad situation. Please, we need your help. The message from their mother sounded urgent, almost desperate. But Alex felt no sympathy. The tables had turned, and now Alex held the power. They had no intention of playing the hero this time. This wasn't about charity. This wasn't about being the family's safety net. Alex had built a life for themselves, a life they had fought tooth and nail for. And now, when their family had nothing left, they thought Alex would swoop in to save them. Without hesitation, Alex replied, "No." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Their mother tried to push, her voice faltering as she tried to play on Alex's emotions. "But you're family. You can't just turn your back on us." Alex clenched their jaw, a bitter laugh escaping their lips. "Family? Funny. I don't remember feeling like part of the family when I needed you the most," they shot back, their voice cold. The conversation stretched on, but Alex felt no desire to go back to the way things were. This wasn't about helping them anymore. This was about holding their ground, about showing them that Alex was no longer the person they could trample on. With a final, firm decision, Alex hung up. As they stood in their living room, the rush of satisfaction washed over them. They had made the right choice. Now, it was time to see just how far they would go. Alex wasn't finished with them yet. The days that followed felt like a slow burn. Alex had taken the bold step of shutting the door on their family, but they knew it wasn't over. They couldn't shake the feeling that they hadn't seen the full extent of their desperation yet. Sure enough, it came in the form of a phone call from their mother, the one person who had failed them the most. The phone rang, and Alex stared at the screen, hesitating for a moment. They had already made their decision, but part of them wondered if this time would be different. Could their mother truly mean it? Could this be the apology Alex had been waiting for? With a deep breath, Alex answered. "Hello." The voice on the other end was shaky, too sweet, like a stranger trying to cover up years of neglect. "Hi, sweetheart. How have you been? We've been watching your progress. We're so proud of you, honey." Alex almost choked on their laughter. Proud? Where was that pride when they needed it most? When Alex had been lying in a hospital bed, drowning in medical bills, no one had cared. Their mother had been too busy living her comfortable life, too busy ignoring the real struggle. "What do you want?" Alex said, their voice flat. The silence was heavy, the tension palpable. Their mother stumbled over her words. "Well, things have been difficult. The economy, you know. Your father's investments didn't go well, and we're struggling. I just thought maybe you could help us." Alex's grip on the phone tightened. The words hung in the air like poison. Help them? After everything they did? After the way they discarded Alex when they were at their lowest? "No," Alex responded, their voice cold. "You don't get to ask for my help now." Their mother's voice faltered, her desperation now clear. "But we're family." "Now we're family?" Alex shot back, their heart pounding. "I don't remember feeling like family when I was struggling. When I asked for help and you turned me away, I wasn't family then, was I?" The silence that followed was the loudest thing Alex had ever heard. It was as if their mother realized, in that moment, just how much she had failed them. And it was too late. Alex wasn't going to forgive them, not this time. They hung up the phone, a feeling of finality washing over them. No more. They were done. But little did Alex know, this was only the beginning. What do you think about Alex's decision to cut ties with their family after everything they went through? Was it the right choice to stand firm and refuse to help? Or should they have forgiven them and offered support? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let me know. Your feedback could make a huge difference in shaping future stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.